like laugh while you're crying or laugh to keep from crying, you know?
Yeah, that's real. That's real. I think this one was definitely more digestible in terms of adding humor to it. But yeah, it is a very sad reality. Rob, it looked like you wanted to come off mute and say something about the video we just watched.
Yeah, I really appreciated both of them, and I would agree with that point. I'm kind of just thinking like, you know, pragmatically speaking, as organizers or as people that are kind of actively invested in this work, it's okay to expect us to, you know, watch something like the Utilities 101, which might be a little less entertaining, but also very informative and perhaps, you know, it goes a little bit more in depth. But I think that John Oliver video is really great for showing people that might not at all be aware of this issue or might not have committed themselves to, you know, an effort like this, because again, that's like the enjoyment is there as well as all of the or the entertainment, I should say, is there along with all of the information. And just to say that I feel like the way that it was broken down in terms of defining the different ways that utilities can work. So like, you know, the investor owned versus the co-ops versus the public owned, and just really laying it out simply, like what those those different organizational structures, what their goals are, was like a really helpful way to frame this. It's like, you know, if I'm not mistaken, the investor owned, their main goal is to return, you know, money for investors, whereas the co-op owned or the public owned are, you know, their actual goal is to have good service. And the fact that there are actually more utilities that are co-ops and publicly owned, but they serve less overall, you know, citizens, because I would assume, you know, just the density of the areas that they do serve, you know, Detroit being an example of that. But yeah, I just found it like really informative, and I feel like this type of information would be accessible, would be like convincing even to people who might not share some of our values in general. Like just thinking about Soulardarity as like a progressive organization, and of course we're trying to engage with all types of people and not only progressive people. And I feel like even a conservative is going to be like, hey, what the hell? They're charging us more for bad service? That's weak. And like I just talked to a guy the other day who, you know, I'm making assumptions, but it was a very brief conversation. He saw my solar panel in my backyard and he was talking about all of his stuff. Like, you know, he had a bunch of solar panels that he set up at one of his houses, and it was just to get off the grid. And it's like that's what they want. They don't want to be controlled by anybody. They don't want to be controlled by the government. They don't want to be controlled by a utility. And so while some of what they're talking about is not, you know, is not aligned with or even antithetical to some things that we believe in like there's a certain access point where it's like, you don't want to be taken advantage of by the utilities. Neither do we. This is a way to put the power in the hands of the citizens and the people who these utilities are supposed to be serving. So sorry, I kind of went on a long-winded thing there, but I just thought it was really, really interesting. Lots of good information. And I feel well equipped to share some of that information with people, you know, given both of those videos. So.
Yeah, Robert, I really appreciate what you said, because you know, part of the struggle with the work that we do is translation. You know, like how do we translate the work that we're trying to do in the sense of urgency that can help all of us, no matter what your income level is, no matter, you know, what demographic that you identify with, how to translate what's happening with these utilities has been a challenge. And I think that video kind of helped to really capture it in a way that can relate, that a lot of different types of folks can relate to. So yeah, let's go ahead and get back into our review. Here we go.
10 minutes to 12, Shamika.
Yeah, we're a little bit behind, but I think
that's okay. We're not rushing this part. Just keep me updated.
Okay, I appreciate you. All right, so last week's homework was Utilities 101 video with the Initiative for Energy Justice. And so these next few slides are just getting ready to be a review of what that content was. All right, so starting out simply, what is an electric utility? It's a company that generates and distributes electricity. What kind of utilities are out there? There are 3 different types of utilities. There are IOUs, or investor-owned utilities. There are cooperatively owned utilities, or co-ops, and then there's POUs, publicly owned utilities. Can someone read for me the definition from EIA and the financial management model for each of these? So let me see. I'm just going to the first 3 people on the list. Chuck, can you read the IOU? Stacy, can you read the co-op? And Aaron, can you read the POU? Sorry if I'm putting y'all on the spot. Let me know if you are having audio issues, and we can do this a different way too.
I think you need to say those names again, Shamika.
Okay, no problem. So I'm asking if Chuck can read the definition and financial slash management model for IOUs. If Stacy can read the definition and model for co-ops, and if Aaron can read POU definition and model.
I'm here. I couldn't get my microphone to turn on. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, awesome. So investor-owned utility IOU, a large electric distributor that issues stock owned by shareholders. And then the financial management model is private company owned by stakeholders and managed by a board-appointed team of private sector employees. The goal is to optimize return for investment for stakeholders.
Yeah, so an example of that will be PCE is an investor-owned utility. Stacey, can we get you to read co-ops?
Yep. Not-for-profit member-owned utilities that are most common in rural areas. Member-owned and managed not-for-profit goal, optimize benefit for local customers.
Cool. Can anyone think of any co-ops that they know?
Is Consumers a co-op, or are they privately owned also?
Consumers is investor-owned.
Okay.
I would say Polar Bear Sustainable Energy Co-op, which Soulardarity incubated just as an idea that our members had, and folks wanted to be able to have a little bit more onus with the decisions that were happening, but also be able to profit when possible and return those profits back to co-op members. And I can always drop more information if folks are interested in being a part of that co-op. Their meetings are still pretty small. We still have to get the word out, but that is an example. All right, a POU. Erin?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So publicly owned utility, that's a federal, state, or municipal run utility owned by local government and or customers of the utility, managed by local officials or employees. The goal is to optimize benefits for local customers.
Perfect. All right, now who can give some examples of a POU? I'll give you a hint. There's a few in Michigan, actually. None? Okay, so example I'll give here is Wyandotte. Wyandotte actually owns their utility, and it's ran by their city government. Ann Arbor is making an attempt to try to get away from their utility. I'm not sure if they've actually transitioned to being publicly owned, but they have deployed a ton of solar, and they're really making moves to progress to that type. All right. So when asked the question, which ownership type serves the greatest number of people between the 3 of those, the answer is investor-owned utilities. 72% of total energy consumers are part of an investor-owned utility. And that is a pretty big slice of the pie. U.S. electric utilities by ownership type since 2017. Excuse me. So looking at these two charts, Michelle, can you kind of explain what we're seeing here on the screen?
Sure thing. So you're looking at the number of, the first one is the number of companies. And majority of companies actually are publicly owned, surprisingly. Investor owned is the smaller number. But the reason it seems that way, the reason it seems opposite is because investor owned has the most customers. Okay. And publicly, well, co-ops have the least amount of customers. So, you know, it always seems like that the investor owned is the bigger one, but it's really not.
Yeah, and an example of that is DTE and consumers. You know, they're a big corporation with tons and tons of customers. As a matter of fact, DTE pretty much has taken over the entire Southeast Michigan area. And when we look at the publicly owned utilities, there is a number of them. But again, these are just cities across the country that have decided to take power into their own hands. All right, so there's a couple of terms here that we're using. Let's take a moment and just kind of read through these. And I'm reading them out loud because that, you know, sometimes people learn by visually seeing something. Sometimes people learn by writing it down because they're kinesthetic. And then sometimes people learn because they're auditory learners. So let me see. Can I get Kobe, Rob, Siobhan to read the first three?
Criminal justice. Remediation of the impacts of climate change on poor people and people of color and compensation for harm suffered by such communities due to climate change.
Thanks, yeah. Really good term to know what climate justice is.
Energy burden, the amount of overall household income spent to cover energy costs.
Energy democracy, the notion that communities should have a say and agency in shaping and participating in their energy future.
Thank you. And I'll just keep going. Energy security is the inability to meet basic household energy needs due to the high cost of energy. Energy justice and energy equity is the goal of achieving equity in both the social and economic participation in the energy system, while also remediating social, economic, and health burdens on those by the energy system. Energy poverty, big term that we use a lot when we talk about Highland Park and Detroit, is a lack of access to basic life-sustaining energy. Environmental justice, the recognition and remediation of the disproportionately high and adverse human health or environmental effects on communities of color and low-income communities. And I want to add a little star to that low income. I would say low to moderate income. A lot of us may not be considered low income based on the United States standard threshold. But if you're still struggling to be, and you have to choose between paying bills, putting gas in your car, feeding your children, etc., to me that's still, you know, an indigent person. Missing that word up. Indigent person. And then last, just transition. This is one of my favorite terms because it's so new, you know, to the Detroit and Highland Park area for most of us. And it is a transition away from the fossil fuel economy to a new economy that provides dignified, productive, and ecologically sustainable livelihoods, democratic governance, and ecological resilience. We'll talk more about these terms as we go through our work and as we go through more of our training. But I also will try to make sure that these are accessible to you all so you can go back and revisit them later on. All right, so enough review. What's up with DTE? Our utility here at home. DTE is It's definitely an investor-owned utility. It serves 2.2 million customers, has a net worth of $26.24 billion. Oh, this little thing right here says they got McDonald's money. Stock value as of 2 days ago was $135.44 per share, which ironically, none of their employees have an opportunity to get a share in the company. Only their board of directors and CEOs. And the money that they've made this year so far is $17.86 billion. And I'm putting my pinky to my mouth when I said that. Right, so 1903, Detroit Edison was founded. 1905, they began to expand through acquisition and construction. 1913, service territory grew to River Rouge, Wyandotte, Dearborn, Ecorse, and Trenton. That's the area I grew up in. 1919, they bought Port Huron Gas and Electric. 1936, they purchased the Michigan Electric Power Company and acquired the entire Thumb, increasing service area to 7,587 square miles. 1938, merger approved by the SEC and the MPSC formed the same year, and became known as Michigan Consolidated Gas Company, or MICHCON. How many of y'all remember MICHCON?
Yep, and I'm probably the oldest thing here.
I remember MICHCON because of my grandma always talking about it. That helps. Javon says she does too. All right, 1952, the exploration of nuclear energy use begins, called Enrico Fermi. I'm sorry, my eyesight went out a little bit there. Enrico Fermi Breeder Reactor Project. If y'all ever get an opportunity to meet Jesse Deerenwater, he can give you the whole rundown about Fermi. He's from an organization called CRAFT. All right, in 1962 through 1972, so for 10 years, nuclear reactor is plagued by problems, but the utility experiences record profits and acquires more capital. That's interesting. 1987 to 1991, Washtenaw Energy Corporation merged into the company and its stock experiences record earnings. 1992 to 1995, Congress passes the Energy Policy Act, which allows competition in utility industry. DTE Energy is founded in Detroit. And then from 2001 to present, DTE and MCN Energy Group merged, creating Michigan's largest energy company and one of the largest in the country. All right, so DTE greenwashing, violations, and scandals. Before I start here, greenwashing is basically when you are doing something that is environmentally unfriendly, but yet you make it seem like it's the best thing ever. So an example of that would be when there was a big push for quote unquote natural gas. Natural gas is extractive and it has immense health harms for people living in those areas where it's being extracted. Yet, whenever you see a commercial, you would see like these grassy knolls and blue skies with white clouds, as if like natural gas is a good thing for us, and it's not. So I just wanted to clarify what greenwashing is. All right, so in 2020, March of 2020, in violation of the Clean Air Act, EPA orders DTE to pay $1.8 million civil penalty and agree to spend $5.5 million on projects to improve air quality. Also ordered to reduce pollution at 5 coal-fired power plants in Southeast Michigan. DTE stated a goal of net zero carbon emissions for electric and gas by 2050. Instead, the company focused on a massive natural gas pipeline, spending billions. DTE is more focused on expanding its customers' reliance on natural gas. In 2017 through 2018, DTE raises rates and collects $125 million from Michigan customers. DTE was ordered to reduce the rate hike and return excess charges to customers. DTE told customers that they were receiving a rate cut, not a reimbursement for overbilling. So again, usually, and I don't know how many of you were sitting in, there was like a public meeting about our settlement. You know, Soulardarity took, well, not only Soulardarity, but there was a few of us, we were the only nonprofit, but we took DTE to court And we told them that we told the MPSC that the rates that they were asking for were ridiculous. And instead of the MPSC just saying absolutely no to the rate hike, they decided to kind of give them a slight like, well, no, just not that much. And also, you know, these folks are talking about community solar. Why are you not supporting them? You also have to do a solar project. So as they're rolling this solar project out, they're putting $300,000, which is not a lot of money when you have $1 billion company, into 3 projects: Southwest Michigan, Highland Park, and another project over on Detroit's east side. And these projects are supposed to be for the benefit of the community, right? Yet when we ask them questions about their process and about these projects, the question was like, are these projects going to cost only $30,000? I'm sorry, $100,000 each? They're like, no, it's going to cost more. We're like, okay, so where is that money going to come from? It's going to come from cities and communities. And they showed us a list of these quote unquote partners, and they were all, the majority of them were funders for organizations like ours, you know, Energy Foundation. And it was a lot of like community organizations, you know, like Skillman and things like that on the list. And it was like, so you're getting ready to take resources and money to do a project that was supposed to be a settlement out of a case because you were already being extractive? Like, that's crazy. So as we continue to keep an eye on the development of those solar projects, we'll make sure we share the information out. Please be involved and active in holding DTE accountable, because as you can see, they'll spend something that's supposed to be an act of integrity for their customers, and they'll still spend it and try to make more money off of it anyway. That's ridiculous. So DTE is currently being criticized for leveraging resources it provided to local nonprofits to earn support from those groups for its policy goals. And we're still waiting for them to bring us a fat check. An example is in 2018, DTE wanted a proposal that included rate hikes and new limitations of fees for residential rooftop solar. During the public comment period, an unknown group, Michigan Energy Promise, supported DTE's proposal. Their list of allies were exposed to be nonprofits and chambers of commerce with financial ties to DTE Energy Foundation. 5 of the 9 individuals who gave support of public comment for DTE's proposal were affiliated with organizations that received the DTE Foundation funding. Another source for this information can be found in a recently, let me stop screens here for just one quick second. A recent report that was done by MEJC. And it's a stellar report. I read it last night. It's hot off the press. It came out Friday. But they talk about all the money that DTE has spent on politicians, all the money that has been spent and it became dark money, and all of the politicians that benefited from those kickbacks. And most of the money was spent on food and drinks. Let me see if I can find that right quick. I'm not gonna find it. I'm gonna just keep going. We're about to run out of time. I'm gonna make sure I drop that link here. All right, so that's all the shenanigans.
I'll look for it, Shamika.
Okay, thank you. Michelle, it's probably in the anti-DTE. No, I think I may have shared it in our Slack.
Yeah, I think you did. I'll look for it.
Yep. All right, so let me go here again. All right, let me go back to my screen sharing. I want to share that. There we are. All right, so can y'all still see my screen?
Yeah,
Yes.
now I can. It was a little bit blocked, but now I can.
Okay, cool. Let me I gotta do a little bit of adjusting on my end to be able to on screens work with me. And I went too far. Yeah. All right. So can y'all still see my full screen? Just want to make sure before I start talking.
So it looks like the right side, or sorry, the left side there's like a window. Do you have a Zoom window? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there we go. All right.
Yeah.
Let's do this like this. Why can't I adjust the size of my screens? So weird. Right. So energy burden in Detroit. Oh, I was doing it again. Hold on one second, y'all. I'm sorry. Let me. Okay. Is that better?
It looks a little bit small.
Okay, now it looks smaller. Jeez. Let me see.
So if you might be able to make the Google Slides full screen and then share your screen like that.
All right.
There also might be a share screen option that you can specifically choose that browser window. I don't know what browser you're using.
Yeah, so like that's what I'm doing, but in order for me to have my speaker notes up, is for some reason my speaker notes are taking over the whole screen.
Right.
All right, let's do this like this. Stop share for a second. How can I do this? This is frustrating me right now. Thank y'all for your patience while I figure this out. All right, and now I can share the screen.
While you're figuring that out, Shamika, I put the link to the article in the chat. And you see, I made a comment earlier, it said just ride on I-75 48217.
Mm-hmm.
When DTE is talking about clean air, there's nothing clean about the air over there. All right. I hate riding through on I-75 through that part of town. And you're looking at stuff being burned into the atmosphere and it stinks like crazy. I had an uncle that lived in River Rouge for many, many years and just got sicker and sicker over the course of time. I was a young girl. He died a very ugly death of cancer. I mean, just ugly, you know. And it wasn't until just before I started working with Soulardarity that I got an understanding that it was the pollution in the atmosphere that gave him lung cancer, that took him out of here in a very ugly way. So, you know, the last thing we want is them building any more power plants, because they only choose to build them in the low income communities. They only choose to go in those communities, rip them apart, displace people, and then say, hey, okay, we're going to set up a new pollution center. You know, I look at what they're doing with the solar arrays. I'm glad they're going into solar, but why are you going in our communities and taking our recreational park areas and, you know, putting up the arrays? Let's put them a little further out. Let's see how that works, you know? So yeah, just my little comment.
Yeah, I appreciate that so much, Michelle. I grew up out in Southwest Detroit, and I never knew that other communities didn't have that same smell to it until I went to visit family over on the east side and over on the west side, and I realized like every community doesn't have like big plants with clouds of pollution and smoke over them, and that was one of like my first wake up calls, you know, to environmental justice and injustice. I think I may have figured this problem out, and I just need to give myself permission to host here. All right, and now I should be able to share. And then I should be able to go here. Up, and it's still not going up.
Do you want me to be co-host and see if I can pull it up?
Yeah, because I'm just having issues with, sharing this in a size that y'all can see. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing. Michelle, whenever you can get the slides up, I'm gonna just start. I'm gonna keep going with the presentation.
Okay, I'll see what I can do.
Here, I'm gonna throw the link in the chat. And I'm on slide 18. All right, so one of the things we're going to start talking about is energy burden. Is that? All right, Michelle, you should be able to share now.
All right, hold on. Share.
And Michelle, hit the button that says slideshow at the top.
Come on. Can you see it?
We can. Yay, Michelle.
Okay, we're gonna try this.
And you should, when it's time to go to the next slide, just push your arrow.
Yeah, I see it. Okay.
Got it. Cool. All right. So energy burdens in Detroit. Median energy burden is 3.8%, and the median low income energy burden is 10.2% in the Detroit metropolitan area. A quarter of low income households have an energy burden above 19% in the Detroit metro area, which is 5 times higher than the median in energy burden. 30% of Detroit households, that's 518,698, have a high energy burden above 6%. 16% of Detroit households have a severe energy burden that's above 10%. And that's about 270,000 folks. And then 43% of Black households, roughly 183,000, and 38% of Hispanic households, which is about 21,000 in the Detroit metro area, experience a high energy burden above 6%. Based on the groups in the study, low income, 10.2%, low income multifamily households, 6.6%, and Black households, 5.3%, experience the highest median energy burdens in Detroit. And these energy burden statistics prove that Detroit is experiencing a crisis of energy insecurity. Next slide. Also, the service sucks. This chart is a visualization of the number of minutes in the dark for the average customer back in 2017. I'm sure that if we looked at the numbers in 2021 as well, they would be off the charts. Next slide. And we pay some of the highest rates. Raphael's funny. Lord have mercy on my wallet. So we're looking at here the excuse me. We're looking here at the national average, which is about at 13 cents per kilowatt. And that's the cost for residential electricity. We look at it regionally, that's, like our whole state, plus Indiana, Wisconsin, any state touching the Great Lakes. That's at 14 cents per kilowatt. Michigan is up there at a little tiny smidge past 16 cents per kilowatt. And DTE has high use and low use time. So they tell you that, like, if you use your electricity during a low use time, that you won't be charged as much as when you use it during a high use time. So an example of that would be running your air conditioning on a super hot day during the middle of the day, versus figuring out ways to keep your house cool during the day and then turning your air on at night, or doing your laundry in the evening as opposed to doing it at a prime time of the day. Next slide, please. So why are they like this? DTE Energy is a state protected monopoly. They get their profits guaranteed by the state up to 9.9%. If they spend an extra $1 billion on infrastructure, they get another $99 million in profit locked. If rates go up if they spend more, 13% of your bill goes straight to their stock, to their shareholders. They spend more, they make more, even if they do a bad job. So an example, I remember this example. So an example of that would be like your cousin has a catering business, right? Are they guaranteed any profits from anybody?
Mm-mm.
If they spend an extra $100 on supplies and got to make that work in their budget, if they say that they're going to provide a service at a certain amount, can they just up the amount after you've already agreed to pay for it at a certain base? If they end up needing to spend more money on the business side of things, do you expect to have to pay for that? You know, at the end of them coming to cater a party for you? No. So the average person tries to spend less to try to make more, and they have to do a good job in order to even get the money, unlike DTE. Next slide. So what are we doing about it? Slide. So I told y'all about my favorite term, which is a just transition. And this is our path to a just transition. A just transition is, you know, like I said earlier, moving away from fossil fuel economy to a new economy, having some dignity, some productivity, and sustainability in our livelihoods. This includes transitioning the power and control over the means of energy production into the hands of the community, ensuring fair and equitable distribution of benefits and burdens of energy production activities, and centering the concerns of marginalized communities. To create a just energy system, we have to focus on just transition. And that involves looking at all of the ways that we're impacted by our energy company. It's not just affecting our wallets, it's affecting our health, it's affecting our ability to be self-determining, it's affecting our ability to do wealth generation, it's affecting like almost every area of people activity. Next slide, please. So, you know, we've been doing work for a while now. This is our 10-year anniversary. We've done our work. We've worked in areas of putting up streetlights and trying to afford community ownership. We're installing another 10 lights. We're already, I think, at 17. And so we're going to do another 10 lights with mesh Wi-Fi. And what we're advocating for is for other groups to be able to replicate our streetlight installation process. And we're also trying to make sure that we're creating agreements with the site owners where these lights will be located, so that, again, like there's ownership there, there's ongoing maintenance, and we have some sustainable infrastructure. When we talk about sustainability and resiliency, we have what's called HPC3, the Highland Park Community Crisis Coalition. And through that work, we've done a ton of things. We've done food distribution, we've done utility assistance. We're in the midst of kind of reforming our structure, but we are also trying to do emergency preparedness and resilience kits, meaning, you know, if there's a blackout, you can go to a HP3C site and you can get like a bin or a tub that has flashlights, blankets, you know, a little bit of food, you know, just things that you'll be able to need to sustain yourself for like 72 hours. And then we also have Communities Leap. And Communities Leap, Rafael is so much better at talking about this because I try to stay in keep some lanes open for others to do the work. But Communities Leap is a part of like our Justice 40 initiative. And this is where we're sitting at the table with city officials and city department heads. And we're trying to figure out a way to go 100% clean energy. And in doing that, it requires a lot of meetings. A lot of technical experts need to come into the meetings and explain, you know, the way that products work, explain what the cost saving benefits are and things like that. And then one of my favorite areas is organizing for policy change. And that's me and my son standing right there. I think Michelle was there that day too.
Yeah, I'm back there in the background somewhere, right?
Michelle always trying to stand in the back. Actually, matter of fact, I think I see you behind the person with the red on. But this was a presser that we did over at Parker Village. We had the Hamtramck mayor come out. We had Rashida Tlaib come out. We had Miss Gracie, one of our members there. And it was just a number of folks I was just talking about talking about the energy burden and how we can make some policy reform around that. And so we're always in partnership with a number of folks in coalition spaces. Magic, I could break down all these acronyms, but I'm also creating a glossary. So I'm not going to spend our time to break it down all the acronyms, but Magic, MEJC, MWDC, CJA, etc. We are talking to lobbying elected officials. We can't do C4 work, but we do talk to officials about policy, specific policy and specific community actions at the local, state, and federal levels. And we always contribute to research and reports. Next slide, please. Oh, God. Okay, so I didn't see this slide before now. But let's just have like open discussion. I don't think we need to have like some very specific questions. We're going a little bit over on time. So let's take a pause at this point. I'm gonna, Michelle, can you stop screen sharing for a sec? Right. I just dumped a lot of information on you, a lot of numbers, a lot of graphs, a lot of terms and concepts that may be new to you. Kick it back to me. You know, how are y'all feeling? Have your brains exploded yet? And or are you feeling more informed, overwhelmed, just temperature check in the room?
I'm feeling more informed, but also overwhelmed with the amount of information and just a better understanding of how things work and how it affects myself. And it's like, how did we get here? That's how I'm feeling with everything today.
Yeah, that's a good question. Can I speak candidly for a second in response to that?
Of course.
So the question of how we got here, I think is capitalism and white supremacy, you know, white supremacist culture. You know, we live in a world where in order for there to be wealth, you have to have people that are not wealthy. In order to have power in white supremacist culture, you have to have a group that is disempowered. And when you have like a very linear perspective in terms of your connection to the planet, your connection to other people, your connection to life itself, you tend to operate in that way. So, you know, I'm not saying that white people are the problem, but white supremacist culture is definitely the reason why we're here.
Shamika, as a former professor who I think got in trouble, and that's probably why they didn't call me back, but I always use the terminology of European mindset of superiority. You know, this idea that I know better than anyone else, and therefore your voice doesn't matter. It's only when I started working with Soulardarity that I actually heard the voice of Indigenous people. I knew they existed. I knew that they were Native Americans. This was their land, but I had never heard their actual voice. And as I began to hear their actual voice, I got a different perspective on how the decisions that are made literally affect the world we live in. So yeah, if you can shut down the voice of others, you can succeed in getting whatever you want. And that's what, unfortunately, our nation tends to do.
Absolutely, Michelle. And thank you. Can you say that term one more time for me? You said
European mindset of superiority.
I like that better. It's less because when you say you know, white supremacist, and it's kind of
Yeah.
empowering them, grammatically empowering them for, you know, anyway.
Yeah.
I digress. I used to be an ELA teacher, so I'm a word person. Would anyone else like to share just, you know, how you're feeling, how you feeling about the content, how you feeling about the training so far?
If I could briefly reflect something back and have you all kind of let me know how it sounds, kind of like the organizers. But you know, I'm definitely sharing in the feelings of, you know, it's both overwhelming and empowering to get all this information. You know, it's often difficult to you know, like ignorance is bliss, basically. So like when you become informed, of course, it can become a burden to know these things, but it's important to know these things. And I think one way to frame this, perhaps for like the new people, including myself, is this information is really helpful background information to understand the current landscape. It's not up to us as individuals to determine, you know, policy stances or strategy around community engagement or whatever. Like that's what the Soulardarity team will help us define, you know, like setting up goals and setting up strategies and things like that. So, you know, don't feel like you have to have all the answers when empowered with this information. It's just important to know why we're doing this work and what are the reasons kind of behind it. And so in following the lead of the organizers and also contributing to it ourselves, that might help with some of the feelings of overwhelming. Just because I know personally, when I first became involved in environmental, you know, just like awareness when I was younger, it was really difficult to know what to do with that information. And I felt like it was all on me to like make a change and to like figure it out. And I just think, you know, we're in this together. We have some strong leaders that will help show us the way. So don't feel like it's all on you to figure it out, but it's really good background information to have. And so I don't know if any of that jives, but I just figured I'd share.
Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that, Rob, and I definitely agree. I definitely felt similar to Stacy, you know, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like I didn't know what to do next, and that is exactly what this training is for. It's not for you to commit all of this to memory and be able to just regurgitate it. It's not intended to tell you exactly what you as an individual should be doing. It's just to give you enough information to be able to so you'll be backed and protected if once you get out here and you start trying to make some changes and differences. Chuck, it looked like you came off me for a sec. You want to jump in here?
Yeah, my thoughts kind of just to like piggyback off of what Rob was saying. It's like the information is kind of overwhelming from the last couple weeks, but this week it seems like it's a little easier to grasp. But with that, it's like if the ones in charge already know what they're doing is like hurting the people below them, which of course they do. Like, what do we do to get the message to them to then kind of produce change? So really, like, my thing is like, where do we go from here? Because it kind of excites me to get started, just to help and actually start to see some change in the issues, if that makes any sense.
It absolutely does. It
Okay.
absolutely makes sense. I wouldn't say that it is now lunchtime. We could keep going and ignore our empty stomachs, or we can go ahead and break for lunch. And when we come back, we're going to actually show you all a way to be able to use what you just learned. So just through consensus, raise your hand if you are ready for that lunch break. And you should be able to just click the little button that says reactions. You can raise your hand that way, or you can put it in the chat. All right, we got one person that's hungry. Let me raise my hand because I'm hungry. Stacey's hungry too. Cool. Aaron, yes. All right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a 30-minute break. I'm going to leave this open. We'll stop recording. I'm gonna play some more Dilla and everyone go grab some food and come back. And Michelle's gonna get us started, and we're gonna talk about the story of self, our story, and how we can share that out. All right, let me turn on some music. See y'all in a minute. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, everyone. My hand is still raised from saying I'm hungry. Do we got everybody back? It looks like Stacy's back, Aaron's back, Brow's back, Kobe's back.
Hey,
Joanna,
hey.
you back? Michelle, you here? Chuck's
I'm
back.
here. Look like we got just about everybody.
Looks like we do. Michelle, you want to go ahead and I can do screen share for you.
Oh, you are so sweet. Thank
You
you.
so graciously did screen sharing for me. All right, let's get this going here. I've got to move this slide down a little bit before I. Move these two slides around because we did this in a little bit of a different order. All right. I'm not even going to click on the slide where he had the 30-minute lunch break video for us. I'm scared. All right. Do the screen share. All righty.
All right. So we are going to talk about the Michigan Public Service Commission's public hearing that is coming up on Monday, and why this is important. So Rafael put on here time to bust out the war drums. And in the back of my head, I can hear some African war drums going, you know. So we're going to talk about what the heck is a rate case and the MPSC, what's going on with the rate case, why is the public hearing so important, and what are we going to do on Monday? Next slide, please. So we just got through looking at how utilities are set up and how utilities are ran. And the fact that when all of this first began happening, in order to prevent there being competition, they were allowed to be monopolies. And those monopolies are supposed to be regulated by a public service commission. So this is the three commissioners on the Michigan Public Service Commission. These are the people that tell DE yay or nay. And these are the people that we want to hear our voices. Next slide, please. What is a rate case? Well, DTE, being an investor-owned monopoly, has to get permission from the, well, not permission, but approval from the Michigan Public Service Commission before they can increase the rates that they charge us. So they filed testimony with the Michigan Public Service Commission outlining how much more money they need per year, what they need it for, where they want it to come from. Now, interveners filed testimony in response. There are rebuttals, briefs, replies, cross-examinations, a judicial proposal, and responses to that proposal. Thankfully, those things do happen. Unfortunately, most times our voices are not one of them. The three commissioners issue a final ruling about 12 months after the initial application. So this application has been in for a minute. So we're jumping on the bandwagon a little at the end, but hey, we're gonna make a lot of noise. Next slide, please.
Michelle, can I jump in and say something here?
Go right ahead.
So DTE filed for the rate increase November of 2021. And after, as soon as we found out about it, Soulardarity went and we got some heavy hitting law firm called Abrams Law Clinic. They're based in Chicago. And what they did was basically translate the legalese of the proposal that DTE sent to the Michigan Public Service Commission asking for this rate increase. We do have a decent relationship with the Michigan Public Service Commission. We've been pretty much like knife to their throats for 3 years. And this is the first year where the MPSC has actually like given us a heads up, you know, like, hey, did y'all know that they were doing this? Because it is public information. The issue is that DTE does not feel obligated to share public information on their own. And even though it seems like we're jumping in at the bottom, what do they call it? The 6th inning, 7th inning. I just started learning about baseball, so I'm not sure. But it seems like we're jumping in late in the game. So much has happened already up until this point. We've had 2, when we say interveners, 2 organizations, Soulardarity is one of them, and We Want Green too. And so Jackson provided testimony on behalf of Soulardarity, and Gloria Lowe, I'm not sure if y'all familiar with her, from We Want Green too, provided testimony. And what we did was we hit them with everything we had, all of the research, all of the surveys, all of the articles, all of the, just everything that we had to be able to try to dispel the myth that DTE needs to have an increase of rates go happen at this point. I also want to remind y'all that DTE made, was it 7.5% increased profits during COVID? And that was during the same time that we were on stay-at-home order, which meant what? We were using more energy, you know? Solidarity. Oops, you just got to meet one of them. We had stay-at-home orders, so our lights were staying on much longer. Our children had to use remote and distance learning. Most people had remote work options. And again, just being at home all day means you're just using way more energy. So to see that they had increased profits makes sense. But the fact that they're coming back after a pandemic and asking for a rate increase is absolutely absurd. And so just want to also uplift. So we're not jumping in late, but we are jumping in at the point where now it's time for the people to speak. The lawyers have spoke, the interveners have spoke, DTE has spoke their piece. This is the time for us to jump in.
I agree. You know, we can jump in, and we want to, we know that DTE has their ear also, but we want to make so much noise that they hear us. And yeah, Shamika, you know, Shamika bring up the point. This is the first time that the Michigan Public Service Commission has said, hey, gonna give you a chance to say something. And it's gonna be official and on the record. That's where the difference is. This is official and on the record. So,
and this is the first time ever that that's what makes this a precedent case. This is the first time the Public Service Commission has actually allowed for it to be a part of the case, as opposed to basically having a listening party. You know, Michelle was a part of the very first cohort of fellows for the Work For Me DTE campaign, which is similar to what you all are, with the way that you all came in. And when we got on the mic and we were telling our stories, and people were crying about how they had shutoffs, and people were crying about refrigerators being turned off and their medicine was in it, and all of that stuff, none of that was a part of the actual rate case. It did move the Michigan Public Service Commission to not approve the full amount, but that's how we ended up with that settlement, where we got, you know, we saved ratepayers some millions of dollars, but the millions of dollars that they also received was just, you know, a drop in the bucket. Sorry, Michelle, I'm gonna go on mute.
No, that's okay. So how do rate cases impact our community? Well, rate cases are where the utilities get approved to raise our energy rates. They get that approval based on how they want to spend our money. If the rate cases are where the utilities or regulatory agencies decide how our money is going to be spent, then it stands to reason that we should get a say in that decision. And Shamika knows I'm not one that uses foul language, but every time I get to that last part, I can't think of the name of the movie, but Al Pacino says, you know, kiss me. I like to be kissed. Wow, you know. Because it's like, this is your money. This is our money. And all this time, we have not had a say in how that money should be spent. It's just been taken from us without us contributing. Hey, wait a minute. So it's kind of like somebody coming in your house and taking your stuff and you standing there and you can't say nothing. You know, next slide. So what the heck do they want now? I agree. Next slide. This is DTE's, as Shamika said, first rate hikes since the pandemic. During the pandemic, DTE made record profits, primarily from families spending more at home and increased public funding for utility assistance. There were, during the pandemic, from April of 2020 to December of 2021, DTE did 208,000 shutoffs. 208,000 during the pandemic. Think about that. DTE has had persistent issues with reliability, and the infrastructure is falling apart. So in a nutshell, they've got more room in their pockets. Key information about DTE's proposal: they want $388 million annually in revenue. That's up 7.5%. They want to increase shareholders' profits from 9.9 to 10.25%. Typical residential, that would be the typical residential bill increase by $10.31 a month. Now you may say, $10 a month, that ain't much. $100 a year, that ain't much. That depends on your bill. From my standpoint, before we got off of the protection program, my daughter was paying $360 a month for the past year. That would be an increase of $500 for a year for us. I don't have $500 to give DTE. Next slide, please.
Also add that, but that $233 million that they will be collecting from all of us is again going to their shareholders. Yeah. How do you get a pay increase when you're already doing a crappy job? I know. Yeah. I can't get a pay increase if I'm doing a crappy job.
Nobody can, you know. So you asked for $388 million. $283 million are going to your shareholders. What are you doing with the other $105 million? I want to know. And $233 million is coming directly out of our pockets. So I really want to know what you're doing with the rest of the money. I don't know. All right. What about Monday? If you really want to get wonky with it, we'll be sending you more information on the case. Okay, Rafael. The public hearing.
Oh, sorry. I changed the slide too quick.
Oh, okay.
Changing the slides. Hold on. I'm messing up over here. Okay, sorry, y'all.
You got it?
I got it together now. Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay. So earlier in the year, we submitted a request to MPSC for a public hearing to give ratepayers a chance to submit comment into the case, and it was denied. What they did do, what did they call that other thing we went to, Shamika, and had works?
They mistakenly called it a hearing, and everybody got on the mic and was like, this is not a hearing. This is you listening to community people, and it means nothing. We are wasting our time here. And so, because we went hard on the mic that day, and I'm pretty sure they recorded it. Rafael was on fire when he gave his comments, and there were a number of community people. And even after that, I'm gonna call it a community listening session, we kept putting pressure on the MPSC, like, this is not right. You know, we need to be a part of this rate case. Let us in. And then they approved it just a couple weeks ago, which is why we're trying to scramble around and mobilize everybody in a very short period of time, because we didn't think that we would even get an opportunity like this.
Yeah, and the thing is, you know, sometimes I think a different way, and sometimes I think they were like, if we tell them at the last minute, they won't be able to get enough people. They're going to be shocked.
They'll have no idea.
You know, I'm really looking forward to this. You know, so go ahead. Next one. Yep. No, Shamika.
I don't know how it's even clicking. Like, I'm literally just rolling my mouse over. Okay, I'm gonna stop.
Who and the what now? There will be a training at the We the People office Monday from 4. It says 4 to 6, but I think it was supposed to be 4 to 5:30 because we need time to get down to the hearing on time. All right. So there will be food served, and you will have an opportunity to, if you don't work it today, to work on and crafting your statement. We do want you to register, so you can go to Soulardarity's website and RSVP. All right. And if you can't make it to the training, then meet us at the hearing. All right. And the hearing is Monday from 6 to 8 at the Wayne County Community College downtown campus on 4th Street. We're asking you to bring someone with you. Okay. Bring someone with you.
So the capacity of the room is 150. We
Yeah,
were able to
get
3,000 signatures the last time. Not 3,000 signatures, I'm sorry, 3,000 comments on what we thought was going to be a legal record, which come to find out it's not. This is an opportunity for us to actually get on legal record. So we're trying to get people to go directly to the MPSC website, directly make their comments, or when you show up in person, it's going to be a big room filled with a whole bunch of busy people chattering and talking until the hearing starts. But you get an opportunity to get like a little card, like a big index card, and you put your name on there and you put your comments on there. And when you're called upon, you submit those to the front, and when you're called upon, you'll get an opportunity to read your comment to the MPSC. Some people freestyle it and they just go up and just, you know, give it to them. Rafael kind of did that, but he also did have some talking points. So the training is to help you develop your talking points. Make sure that you got information, data, make sure that, you know, you're confident about what you're saying. It's not to tell you what to say. It's just to help you be able to say it in a way that the commissioners can understand. But the main statement that we want to have, that we want to make sure we just say, tell them no to the rate increase. As long as that's in there, you're doing good.
Yeah.
It's also empowering just to share your story too.
Yeah. So the goal is to pack the house. Ideally, yeah, everyone will get a chance to speak, but I believe that we're going to pack it out so tight, you know. So you have about 2 minutes. They give you about 2 minutes. When Rafael was speaking, they said, okay, you need to wrap it up, and Rafael said, I'll wrap it up when I get through.
Right.
You know, we understand that everybody probably won't make it, but at least put a comment online. I made a comment online, and I was shocked when I actually got a response. They emailed me back a response because they didn't like what I said. And in so many words, they let me know that they didn't like what I said. To which I just laughed, okay, because I didn't intend for them to like it, you know. So, you know, we want to make sure that as many voices are heard as possible. So if at all possible, bring somebody with you. Next slide. How can I help? Okay, as I said, recruit a friend or two to come with you. Or, you know, if each of you just bring one person, that's 20 people closer to filling a 150 capacity, and submit a public comment online. If, you know, even if you come, submit a public comment online. Tell your friends, your family to submit a public comment online. We have all that information available on the website.
Yeah.
Next slide.
We'll have it on the website, and there'll also be people there in person. So let's say if you invite somebody kind of last minute, again, those cards that they're going to have available with your comments, you could just write it and hand it in to them.
Yep.
I know people get a little bit nervous because it's like, I have to put my name on this, but be proud and loud. You know, the information is made public on the MPSC website, but I've never heard of anyone who had any consequences to submitting comments from DTE or the MPSC. And just remember that the MPSC is there as like supposedly neutral, even though we know they've been rubber stamping DTE approvals all this time. They are attempting as best they can within their purview. As Jermaine told me one time, me and Jermaine got into it before, by the way. I'll tell y'all about that another time. But basically they are there to be neutral, you know, so just the more comments, the merrier. They have to consider every single comment that gets submitted.
And if you're too uncomfortable, Shamika, is there a problem if they just put their first name and where they're from? Because I don't have a problem with it, y'all. Okay, I'll put Michelle Jones. I ain't got a problem with it. But could they just like put Michelle, Highland Park, Michigan?
I think you can. I've never seen anyone's comment be rejected before either.
Yeah. So if you're too uncomfortable, put your first name and the city you're from.
Sure. Use an alias. It's not like they ask for ID. Aaron in the chat said, is there a virtual option /link for those who can't physically be in a room and still want to support? Good question. So I don't think that there's a virtual link, and I think that the reason why is because this is the first time they've ever done this and they didn't have time to set it up. So it's an in-person only. However, I'm thinking with that question being asked, maybe Soulardarity can just live stream the entire hearing. But if folks are like in the comments saying things, we can't communicate that to the MPSC on their behalf. They would have to go to the MPSC website and submit a comment directly to them. So we can live stream it.
Okay, we'll see. I mean, unless they say, you know, put your phones up. I don't know.
Yeah, last time, I can't remember. It's a couple of years back. I can't remember if they. I know I took pictures in there because I was taking pictures, selfies and stuff, and I was all on social media. But I don't know in terms of like live streaming if we can set up like an official camera. But I'm gonna ask and I'm gonna find out, and I'll make sure I'll let everyone know Monday at the training.
Okay. All right, but I don't know what to say. Next slide, please. We're gonna keep it moving because we have another thing to do. So we have a worksheet.
Here, I could drop the link in the chat.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I want you to click on the link. The worksheet says, hold on, I've got something to say.
Right. Here's the link to that document. I will recommend that you go to file and then make a copy. That way you can type directly into the document. If anyone is unable to access it, just let me know by dropping your email address in the chat. Michelle, you can, hold on. You can keep going. I'll keep an eye on the chat.
Gotcha. Okay, so this is a chance for you to tell your story and how it connects to this issue. And we are using a training that we had from Kim Hunter of Engage Michigan. And he talks about there are some common components to every narrative or to every story. There's the hero, okay? And there is the hero's challenge. There's the enemy or the opposition and the opposition's tools. And there's the hero's tools. Now we have kind of combined this or compressed it to give you a chance to work on what do you want to say. So put in the chat, who's the hero in the story we're trying to tell? Who's the hero? You just drop it in the chat.
You can unmute and say it too if you can't access
Yeah,
it.
or you can unmute it. Who's the hero in this story? Uh-huh. Yeah, Rob. Yeah. We are the hero in this story. Okay. It feel like we're fighting Goliath, okay, but we're the hero because we know who got the win there. Okay, who's the villain? Who's the enemy? The opposition. Who's the opposition? Can y'all hear me? Because yeah, DTE. I had to check because I think we got a little storm going on over here. All right. Did we lose you, Shamika?
Nope, I'm still here. I'm just trying to make sure everybody got
Okay.
access to the worksheet.
Okay, just wanted to be sure. All right. And this you might have to unmute for. What's the challenge that the hero has to meet here? What's going on? Yeah, Rob, opposing the rate hikes. Yeah. And what tools does DTE have? I don't know if we really got deep into the tools, but what are the tools that they have? What are some of the things that they do now to reach people's minds?
Money.
Yep, money. What else?
A killer PR firm. They PR firm is overtime, man.
Yep, lobbying our legislatures. Not just lobbying, but kind of patting the pockets a little bit there.
Right. Them drinks and them dinners, they add up.
Yeah. Okay, Shamika, help me with this. Out of 146 legislators, 140, DTE has 140 in their pocket. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
So that means there's only 6 legislators who are supposed to be, who we elected, that are supposed to be making sure we're taken care of. 6. Okay? That's a problem. But this is some of the tools that DTE has. Now, what are the tools that we have? Come on, guys, you can unmute. I like to hear your voice because I got to talk. Yeah,
We have
Chuck.
each other.
Yeah, okay. Each other. Chuck said our voice. Yes. Yes. We would love it to be where, the ideal situation would be that we boycott, but we can't boycott. We need energy, so we can't boycott unless we're gonna all go out and light some fires in the backyard and roast over the fire. And we can't boycott, but we can use our voice. We have each other. We can link arms and become a very strong chain. All right. So today, that's what you're going to work on, how you can use your voice. So looking at the worksheet, says, now let's tell your story. Okay. So I want you to take 2 minutes on that first part, just 2 minutes, just 2 minutes. Okay. Talk about you. talk about you a little bit. And just make it short and sweet. I'll share a quick little thing that I did. I'm not going to share the one I did yesterday, Shamika, but it's part of it anyway.
I know.
My name is Michelle Jones, and I'm a resident of Highland Park, Michigan. My daughter, granddaughter, and I moved into a beautiful 100-year-old home in Highland Park, Michigan in the summer of 2019. Although the house is not energy efficient and does not have central air, we were managing fairly well until July of the summer of 2020, when in the midst of the pandemic, there was a 3-day heat wave with temperatures in the mid-90s. Without the ability to circulate the air with the 6 fans that ran continuously, the temperature in the house never dropped below 87 degrees, even at night. We had just gone grocery shopping the day before the outage, and by the time the power was restored, we had lost over $200 in food. and so that's just a quick little, this is me, this is why I'm here.
Also,
This
why
is-
Michelle is fabulous, because her story is just so, without me having literally experienced what she experienced, I feel it. And I would say, when you write yours, again, this is not just a full out version, but just talk about like who you are, you know, what's your experience with the energy company. And that's all we're doing for this section. Are we gonna do the same thing for the villain section?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So again, this is not you writing the whole big thing. This is just you focusing on what's your experience, what's your story. Michelle, let me know when you're ready for the timer.
Okay. Go ahead. You can put timer on now.
Right.
Excuse me. All right. Five, four, three, two, one. Okay. So could I get Kobe to share with us?
Hi there, sure. I'm still working on my hero portion. I didn't really get a chance to get to my challenges, but I'll
Oh, that's
start.
okay. Just give us what you got right there. Yeah.
So describing who I am, I'm a Wayne State alum living in Detroit, at the kind of the beginning and cusp of my career, still trying to figure out exactly what that looks like. And is in my journey, like some of my top priorities now are just handling my bills and, you know, in my debts and making sure that, you know, I'm a responsible part of society. And starting out, leaving Wayne State, working minimum wage and 60 hours a week, it was still very difficult to be on top of bills and especially with in the winter time when you know it gets a little bit colder and energy rates get a little bit higher. Well, I mean, energy usage gets a little bit higher, and so dealing with those realities, it makes you really conscious about not only just the electric usage, but insulation and just living conditions, and having to even remedy those issues is impossible when just sustaining your electricity with the rates that they're at. You can't really address the core issues to lowering energy costs if you're trying to stay above water the whole time. And so that's kind of my perspective of what it's like to try and navigate and grow as a human being, but also having to because you want to pay your bills and you want to try and do things on time, but you find yourself having to cut corners or do certain things so that you can just make ends meet.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
I want to say that was really good, Kobe.
Say that again, Shamika.
I'm sorry, my audio might get a little funky. It's look like it's about to rain over here. I was just saying that was really good, Kobe. You talked about who you are. You talked about how you're impacted just on a day-to-day. You talked about where your values lie, which is, you know, trying to do the right thing. And you kind of named like who's making that a problem for you.
Yeah.
And coming from the perspective of a student, you know, someone who's just out on their own, you know, and how that affects them makes a difference. Yeah.
Yeah, just trying to that perspective of like you're still trying to figure things out, but at the same time you're being like kind of gouged at every corner. So it doesn't. If there's some way we can alleviate that or relieve that pressure, we should definitely find a way to do that and put the power in our own hands, you know, and be active.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. All right. So let's go to the villain. Okay. And Kobe kind of touched on it, who the villain is, what's going on, you know, that I'm not able to do the things I want to do. I'm not able, it's making it hard for me to keep my values, my personal values. Okay, well, who's the cause of that and where are they coming from? So you look at your worksheet, it says the villains, who are the main folks working to stop you, the hero, from achieving their goal, and the villains' weapons. What do the villains use to work against you, the heroes? You got 1 minute.
Michelle, can we have someone share what they have that may speak to the villain a little bit more? So again, we're doing you're reading like your hero statement, and we're looking for someone in the room who may have actually used the name DTE in what they wrote.
Okay, so can I get a volunteer? Because if I don't volunteer, I'm gonna call your name.
Forgot to mention that both of us were trainers and teachers in a past life. So, is it anyone who used the actual name DTE in what they wrote or thought about?
Oh, come on, somebody. Okay, Siobhan, I'm calling your name. Oh, you gonna do it, Rob? Okay, go ahead, Rob. Go ahead. No, come back, Rob.
Okay, and I'm kind of running off the cuff here as I have written, you know, a version of this, but you know, as somebody who cares a lot about the environment and about environmental justice, DTE has made a concerted effort to block, you know, infrastructure in renewable energy while at the same time asking for more money from consumers. And it's unacceptable that we are put in a position where we have to spend more of our money on a system that we don't agree with, and a system that focuses more on the past than the future.
Mm. Ah, I like
I
that.
like that. Yeah, I like that. Get straight to the heart of the matter. Straight to the heart of the matter. We can't pay more money to make sure that your stockholders get more money in their pockets, and we're already dealing with an energy crisis situation. I like that.
And the very fact that you're doing this already affects the future. Yeah. All right, so somebody, let's take 1 minute and work on building out that villain. Give me 1 minute on the clock, Shamika, because we're way behind.
I'm on it. Okay, thought I was on it. It's a little longer to find it. I'm sharing now. So many buttons to click.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. That definitely gets your attention.
Like the fact that sounds like a police siren now. Like, don't police. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. So, can I get one other person to share what they've written? Okay.
I can share.
So you're building this as you go. Okay, as you go, you're building this, you're crafting this statement. Go ahead, Siobhan.
All right, so I feel that the villain, DTE, uses, especially for PLCs, lack of knowledge and understanding as a way to stand in our ways. Like, when I moved into my home, I know we got to pay our bills. That's a fact. But every company that we have a bill with, there is a set amount that we pay, that we agree upon, whether it's a car note, whether it's a student loan, whether it's a cell phone bill, whatever it may be, to either pay that debt off eventually or to have ownership of that item or piece of property. But DTE can charge you can have a bill that's $5,000, and if you're on a payment plan, 1 month they can charge you $250, and the next month they can charge you $50. So in essence, how much is my bill actually? What am I paying off? And when will I be out of debt with you? Theoretically, never, because you show me my energy usage, but what does those numbers mean? If you can charge me whatever amount you want to charge me any month, but we technically have a document showing what I owe, my money should never change. The amount that I pay should never change. My car note is not $250 1 month and $40 the next month, because theoretically I will never own my car if that is the amount that I pay. But because we know that we have to pay our bills as people of color, we have to pay our bills. We have to keep our light on. We have to keep our gas on. We don't fight or have the resources to dig further deeper into that. And it's like, it's a taboo conversation to even ask those questions, because at the end of the day, we need those services. So why fight?
Woo! That's all I can say about that one. Woo, girl. And it is a matter of lack of knowledge. That is one of the things hopefully we'll be able to, at some point, address with the community is understanding your DTE bill. Actually understanding your DTE bill, because most of us don't. We just look for the amount we got to pay, as you said, and pay it and keep it moving. Yeah. And so, yeah, real good, Siobhan. I like that. All right, the last part of this, because we're going to keep moving.
Michelle,
Yeah, go ahead, Tamika.
I know we're trying to get through
Stacey
this
said she
because we
got
got
something to say.
Yeah, I think Stacy has something to say. And Aaron put in the chat, yes, Siobhan.
Come on,
thanks,
Stacey.
Siobhan, for saying all of that. On a personal level, she is a person who knows my personal battle with DTE at the moment, and everything that she just said was so much truth to it. To even when I'm currently looking for help, I'm not receiving that help or communicating my story with another person of color. It's sometimes like a privileged European that doesn't even understand why I'm dealing with what I'm dealing with DTE. And I think that holds so much weight to kind of the difference of privilege versus just being poor and wanting to be treated equally. So thank you, Siobhan. That was on point. Kudos to you. You're doing a good job.
We putting Siobhan up there first so she can set the tone for the rest of our comments. She'll come with the fire. We can't come a week after that. Michelle, kicking it back over to you.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. The tools that you have to overcome the challenge. Okay, we said our voice, we said each other. How do we use those tools? What is it we want to say? How do you want to tell your story? What do you want the MPSC to do for you? Okay, and remember, we're not attacking the MPSC, we're attacking DTE. Okay, so your comments to the MPSC are to talk about DTE. All right, and I think that's what they got upset with me about, was I was like, you said Public Service Commission, could you please serve the public?
Exactly. Can we at least just stick to like job titles of what you're supposed to be doing?
And I think that's why that needs to be that email. You can tell whoever wrote the email was ticked off.
Michelle, I know that we are seemingly a little bit behind schedule, but like as I'm looking at agenda and I'm just looking at just feeling the energy in the room, I want to know, can we like stick to this a little bit longer? I think that we can really help to shape up some comments here, and that way when folks are showing up for the training, they're able to polish them up. And they're also able to like bring their people in and be able to really like kind of guide and coach them. So we were supposed to go into another section on the Hermes principles. And, oh my goodness, my phone is ringing. Somebody's at my door and something's going on right now. I know we're supposed to go into the Hermes principles, but I think that that's something that we can save off just a little bit, because right now, like, we're feeling the fire, we're feeling the pressure. And I think that we should utilize this energy right now. One of the things that I want to do, I want to screen share, and I'm actually going to go to the Michigan Public Service Commission's page where the comments are located, and let's read off some of what people have said. Sorry, I'm not laughing I'm laughing because I read some of the comments already. Michelle, can you kind of wing it for a second? Give me 2 seconds to find this page.
Okay. So while you all are working on that and giving Shamika time to find the page, let me see. Just to help out, I'll share a little bit more of my statement. The fact that there were 208,000 shutoffs between April of 2020 and December 2021 21 makes it clear that this monopoly has no concern about the people who have no other choice for their energy provider. I call it a monopoly because there was a time when we had Detroit Edison for our electric and Michigan Consolidated for our gas. And if you were having a problem paying one bill, you knew you yet had access to some power from the other. But once they merged and became DTE, that choice was taken away from the people, and millionaires began to profit from what should be a human right. Okay, so that's me talking about the villain.
Yeah. So one of the things I'm gonna do is get ready to screen share. I'm gonna show you all some of the comments that have already been made. And then I think that we might be able to kind of have a moment to share excuse me, to share the video of Michelle at the presser on Friday. She did basically a hero's narrative, you know, her story, and it starts out with some of what she's already shared, but she goes hard on it. So what you're looking at on your screen right now are the PDF version of the Michigan Public Service Commission webpage. Let me minimize this a little bit here. So what I did was I went to the MPSC website. I looked up the case number, which is U-20836. And this is the case that was opened June 9th, 2020 in the matter of the application of DTE Electric Company for authority to increase its rates, amend its rate schedule, and rules governing the distribution and supply of electric energy, and for miscellaneous accounting authority. They always trying to slip some stuff in there. So what I did was I went to that site, and this is the site where you can click the button to print. I'm sorry, to submit a comment. You can actually print the case and comments. You also can look at the case filings, meaning everything that was, oh, my screen share is paused. Wait, why? Hold on one second. Let me try this again. I'm over here just talking. Y'all didn't even tell me y'all wasn't seeing that on the screen.
We didn't know you wasn't on the right place.
Sorry, y'all. All right, I see it now?
Yep.
Okay. All right, so I'll repeat, but make this much more quick. So I went to the Michigan Public Service Commission's website, mi-psc.force.com. I entered the case number U-20836, and I just read what the case is about. This is a page where people can go and directly submit a comment. This is what this looks like. This is the statement that I kind of gave you all before, that when you are submitting comments, it is not private. It is going to be posted to the website, and it's subject to disclosure. All right, and so this is what the comments page looks like. You put your first name, last name, email address. On behalf of the company, you can put Soulardarity if you like there. Your city, state, and zip code, and then you enter your comment. What we usually do is we kind of pre-write those comments, and then we'll copy paste them in that section. You hit confirm, you're done. Oh, you got a little spam filter there too. But what you're looking at, what I'm getting ready to show you next is a PDF version. When you click that, you want to see what the comments have been so far. Let's see what we got. Oh, it cuts off the page. Come on now. Gotta do better. All right, so it cuts off a lot of these comments, but I'm gonna just take a minute.
We can't even see them, Shamika.
Can't see the comments on the screen?
Nope.
Dang, what did I do? Let me go back. Stop share. Reshare again. Where am I at? Here. Here we go. Share this one. Can you see them now?
Yep.
All right, so let me scroll back up. When you click the button on that MPSC website that says you want to see the comments, this is what it looks like. Comments are cut off a little bit here. I'm just gonna kind of take a minute, and I'm gonna leave this on the screen so you can kind of get the gist of what folks are saying. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit here on the page so we can see a few more comments.
And you see, most of them try to at least address the commission. I think I started mine with, I want to say thank you to the commissioners for this opportunity to speak my experiences, something like that, you know. It's just kind of like being nice before you go in hard.
All right, so are folks kind of just getting a gist of like what people are saying in their comments? All right, so the other page that I'm going to show you all, once we do a little bit more work on polishing up our comments, I'm going to show you another space where you can submit comments through our partner, We the People Michigan's website. So Michelle, can I kick it over to you to kind of just let's polish up what we got here and put a little bit put a little bit more meat on the comments that we're crafting. And again, you can use the Word document that we shared with you. You can write it on a piece of paper, you know, however that works for you. You can freestyle it if you want. You know, it's totally up to you. And so let's work on this for, can I put a timer up? Michelle, you got to give me a time. And then when we get back, we're going to listen to Michelle's statement from Friday. And then we're going to do a round robin and hear from some folks that haven't spoke yet what their comments will be.
10 minutes.
10? Gotcha.
All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. Shamika, I'm yet looking for that. I know I have it. I just gotta find it.
Good. I think I can now, and my partner and his daughter has left. I can focus on multiple things at the same time.
You should have seen me going through Slack, the email. I'm like, where is it?
Nope. We did text, and let me see. I gotta go to events. While we're looking for this, does anyone feel like they would like to am I still sharing my screen? No, I'm not.
Could you guys,
If
somebody
anyone feels
here?
like they got fired, they just got fired, they just ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
No one yet feels like it's fired. Siobhan, you're not still on fire from that last thing. That little snippet that you gave us before was already fire, so I know it can only get better.
And I see the questions and comments in the chat. One good way to help you build it out, the report that I put in the chat, the public case against DTE Energy, gives you a lot of information. You don't have to digest it all, but something may pop out to you. When I got that number of 208,000 shutoffs during the pandemic, it's from an article that we had and I read, and it was like, dang, it just popped out to me. So it doesn't have to be like, you're the absolute pro at it, but in reading some of those articles, things may pop out to you that you want to put in your statement. So yeah. So somebody share with us. Come on. We want to hear you.
And there's literally no wrong answer at all.
Not at all. You can't mess this up because this is your story. This is your story you're telling. You're not telling somebody else's story. And you know what you've experienced and you know how your life has been affected. And you have some idea how, if this rate hike happens, it'll affect your life. So, you're just simply telling your story as to why you believe this rate hike should not happen.
I have something else to say about from a story standpoint, and it's not necessarily my story, but in my day job, I work in insurance. And it's one thing that many people don't know about, when we have flooding, when there's major power outages, things of that nature, and people lose food. Being that we have to, in the inner city, whether you live in Highland Park, Detroit, Hamtramck, wherever, the insurance rates for insurance for your car and your home are so expensive that you're constantly choosing between, do I pay definitely I'm gonna pay my DTE bill, my water bill, internet, because that's now essential, cell phone, that's essential, and if you're not on aid or you can't get public assistance, you have to do all of that on your own. But when you have to choose between paying your DTE bill and your home insurance, when your power does go out for a week and you do lose all your food, you can't file a claim for that. And if you don't have a bridge card and you already struggling, that's your food that's supposed to last you for months. And if you don't have insurance, you don't have anything to fall back on. And I have seen that, not only because I work in insurance, and a lot of people don't even know you can file a claim for that, but there are so many people who don't have insurance who live in the inner city, whether it's renter's insurance or home insurance, because they have to choose between paying their bills that they need on a day-to-day or paying for something that they may not use ever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that one of the things, one of the pillars of when I did testimony in the last rate case was very focused on that, you know, that the credits were not enough. The $25 is definitely not enough to compensate for what you lose. You know, for me, I work remotely. So if I don't have energy, I'm sorry, if I don't have electricity, I can't work, which means
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting paid, which means I'm not able to afford to take care of my children or pay bills or do anything. Additionally, you know, if the refrigerator goes out, everything that I've tried to stock up on isn't going to happen. What's the stewardship network before I admit them?
I never heard of them.
Okay. I don't know how to talk to people in the waiting room. Let me see. Here we go. Just figured it out. Message. Okay. Well, maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Is anyone from the stewardship network? Like, is anyone trying to connect? I just don't want to admit people. Yeah, I just don't want to admit someone that we're not familiar with, especially while we're talking about testimony.
Is that someone that one of you invited? Because we did say you could invite someone for this training. No, nobody invited them? Then I don't know who it is.
Okay, so let's take a pause moment. I'm gonna admit them and just ask who they are before we before I show Michelle's video.
Okay.
Hi, thanks for joining us. Who is this?
Hey, I'm sorry. This is Rob. I got kicked out on my phone and came back in on the computer. So
Okay, cool. See, we was gonna leave you in the waiting rooms. We was like, we're not even familiar with that, and this is a safe space. Okay. You're right in time, right on time, Rob. I'm getting ready to play a video from the presser on Friday to give an example. Now, Michelle doesn't talk for 2 minutes, but listen to what, no, not that wasn't a shot. I was just saying, you know, I think that it's a compelling story. And I think that is very inspirational. At least it was for me. Like, I actually had a little tear when I first watched it, because it's very inspirational. So let me do this here. All right, can y'all see my screen?
Yep, got it.
Okay, cool. I'm about to play.
Hear my voice clap once. Can you hear me from back there? Okay, cool. I'm just testing. Just testing. Sheesh. All right. Ready? Good afternoon. I'm Kamal Jawara, Detroit organizer for We the People Action Fund, and I want to cordially welcome you all to our DTE report press release. Today you will hear stories of organizers, researchers, and policy specialists that have unfolded the multitude of ways that DTE causes harm to the people of Michigan, as we make the case against DTE continuing to get a free pass by regulators and legislators. Together with our partners, the Michigan Environmental Justice Coalition and Little Sis, we find that DTE has extracted profit from its customers through hundreds of unnecessary power outages that leave customers without power. They have also invested heavily in new fossil fuel power plants that place significant health burdens on customers while blocking renewable energy initiatives. Finally, this report digs into the campaign donations of DTE executives, board members, and PAC to reveal how they utilize dark money to advance their profit-driven agenda. Today, we will not only dig into these wrongdoings of DTE, but we will spark the light of what's possible for Michigan, centering tenacious work organizers have done and continue to do, as we prepare for a hard-fought hearing on the DTE rate case with the Michigan Public Service Commission on Monday. It's critical that we engage all of you this Friday afternoon by discussing the experiences of residents and ratepayers. With that being said, I will actually introduce our first speaker, And now I'll introduce our first speaker, Michelle Jones, who is Soulardarity's Energy Democracy Program Coordinator and a Highland Park resident. So we'll invite Michelle Jones up here to speak.
Thank you, Kamal. Hello, everyone. And yes, my name is Michelle Jones. I am a Highland Park resident. My granddaughter, and I moved into a beautiful 100-year-old home in Highland Park, Michigan in the summer of 2019. Although the house is not energy efficient, it does not have central air, we were managing fairly well with 6 fans. Until July of the summer of 2020, when in the midst of the pandemic, there was a 3-day heat wave with temperatures in the mid-90s. Without the ability to circulate the air with the 6 fans that ran continuously, the temperature in the house never dropped below 87 degrees, even at night. We had just gone grocery shopping the day before the outage, and by the time the power was restored, we had lost over $200 in food. Now you may be thinking, doesn't DTE give a reimbursement for that? Well, if you're comfortable with $25, which was what they offered at that time, I guess there would be no problem. But we were even denied that. To add insult to injury, we ended up with an extremely high bill. When my daughter applied for the protection program, the bill was budgeted at $320 a month. And despite the balance dropping, the bill continued to increase every 3 months until it reached $360 a month. This year, when my daughter tried to renew the protection plan, she was informed that they were no longer allowing people to get on the plan. It sounds to me like they're planning to force us to accept their proposed prepayment plan that takes away the protections. If DTE receives this rate hike and our bills go up 8.8%, that will be another almost $500 out of our pocket every year to give to DTE. I must admit, I'm tired of making millionaires richer. The fact that there were 208,000 shutoffs between April of 2020 and December of 2021 in the midst of a pandemic makes it clear that this monopoly has no concern about the people who have no choice for their energy provider. I call it a monopoly because there was a time when you had Detroit Edison for electric and Michigan Consolidated for gas. And if you had a problem paying one bill, you knew you yet had access to some power from the other. But once they merged and became DTE, that choice was taken away from the people, and billionaires began to profit from what should be a human right. Power outages in the areas serviced by DTE are all too common, especially in BIPOC urban communities, which actually pay a higher rate than our suburban communities that use more power and have a stronger infrastructure. A Crain's Detroit Business article reports that Michigan has the 4th highest number of power outages of every state in the union. The claims that fallen tree branches are responsible for outages can no longer withstand the can no longer stand against the fact of an aging and inadequate infrastructure that can no longer withstand the strength of storms brought on by climate change. Poles and lines are only replaced when they can no longer be repaired. And the only infrastructure that receives major maintenance is the building of new power plants in areas already saturated with pollution that affects the health of children, the elderly, and the poor that live in those areas, but pass the pockets of investors and company executives. In a Detour Detroit article, outright states when a utility is driven by a profit motive and not driven by making sure people have stable access to energy, then those things are going to happen more frequently. I have 8 grown children who live on their own, and they do not worry so much about their rent or their mortgage. They worry about their utility bill. By continuing to raise rates annually, DTE is perpetuating generational poverty, as families are forced to remain dependent, trying to pay an energy bill that never seems to have an end. We are asking our leaders to stand with the vast majority of Michiganders by choosing to adopt people-centered, affordable, reliable, and climate-safe energy solutions that will make Michigan better for generations to come. Thank you.
All right. So that is our fearless. Oh, I can't stop this thing. Still going. Okay. This. Okay, now I can pause it. All right. That is your fearless statewide energy democracy leader on the mic. And again, Michelle has tons of practice, but you don't have to be expert at this. I think that what just needs to be conveyed is the dismal effects that a rate increase would have on our community. So with that said, I think y'all have had ample time. We're not gonna have time for everyone to go, but if we can get maybe 2 folks to do a practice round of what they would say to the Michigan Public Service Commission if they had the opportunity. And then we'll go into Michelle. I wasn't quite understanding the homework, so maybe you could take over that portion when it's time.
Okay.
Okay. All right, y'all. Who's about to get on the mic? Michelle and I will pretend to be the commissioners here. I'll even go. Sometimes it's easier when you feel like you're talking at someone. All right, and if y'all don't volunteer, we're gonna call on you.
Trying to see if I can get my video up. There we go. You all excuse me, it's Sarah G.
I was gonna say, I'm not accepting any judgment. It is Saturday.
Okay, we're gonna start calling names in a minute here. Let's see. I think everybody has said a little something, but we want to hear a statement. Aaron, come on, Aaron, share your statement with us.
All right, and I'm actually gonna put a timer on my phone because it got to fit into 2 minutes. But you might not even take up the whole 2 minutes. You don't have to take up the whole 2 minutes either. I just want to know that. You can get up there and just put your middle finger up and say no rate hikes and walk off. That's what I'm saying. There's no real formal criteria, for how this has to be. It just has to be an opportunity for you to speak your piece and, hopefully and be in support and then lock arm and step with our message, which is no rate hikes. Looks
I'm
like
actually
Stacey came off the mic. Came off
I'm
mute.
gonna step in and take Aaron's place because that's my wife and we're pretty much in the same situation. And I'm going to be coming pretty much off the top and getting very personal. Okay. If that's okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. My name is Stacey, born in Detroit, raised in Highland Park. I am currently displaced from my home, which is not serviced by DTE because of a shutoff. I cannot start power in my name because my address matches. Hold on. Hey, can you mute that? Because I'm hearing my echo. Like I said, me and Aaron in the same house, so I was hearing myself talk back.
Exactly.
I am currently displaced and without power in my home because of someone else's negligence on paying a bill in their name. Because our addresses match, they're saying that $8,000 bill falls on me. I'm hoping to get past this without claiming the responsibility of someone else's bill. But if I do, a rate hike would be such a financial burden on me and my situation. And even though I'm not sure how many other customers are in a situation like me, I do know there's a number of people who are just trying to play catch up from the uncertainty of the beginning of COVID-19. A rate hike would be such a burden on so many families who have been without work and having to choose which bill to pay. having to choose between medicine and your power, which is a necessity for kids who have decided to stay home and do at home learning. They need power for those computers and those laptops. A lot of families didn't get the opportunity to be financed with those computers. So that's another financial burden that they had to face, and playing catch up on that. Those rate hikes are going to hurt families. We are asking you not to do these rate hikes, as so many people are just playing catch up at the moment and trying to figure out this new normal in a semi post COVID world. That's it. That's all I got.
That was good. You did that with 19 more seconds left. Excellent, excellent. Not only did you touch on your own story, but you made it about yourself, and you made it about your community. That's dope. That's dope. We got time for one more person. Anyone wants to go? Chuck, can I call on you?
I knew it was gonna be me.
You felt the energy.
Yeah, you were looking right at me. I could feel it. All right. You ready? All right, cool. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Commission, for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of not approving the height rakes. My name is Charles McCrary. I'm a 29-year-old father of two, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and I don't approve the height rakes because the future just looks duller and duller for my children, and I already don't like the rates that I pay because, one, I don't know where that money is going, and I believe it's going to fill the pockets of already rich people, and I'm not rich, so why would I pay them even more? I don't think it's fair because we have a life to live, and living to pay bills isn't living at all. And I'm sure most of my community can attest to that. And just, if you were in our position, would you think it's fair? So I say, put yourselves in our shoes and kind of, take a step and see how it really feels. And then you'd be like, no, it's not right at all. So if you look at it that way, you'd also be like, yeah, this isn't the right thing to do. But the right thing isn't always done because people are more concerned about money. But at the end of the day, we're all people, and we should look at it like that. So thank you.
That was excellent. You had another 40 more seconds to go if you just wanted to go hard. I thought that was great. I really like the fact that one, I think is moving for people to hear, like, right, the quote, living to pay bills is not living at all. Fire. The fact that you introduce yourself as not only just being a ratepayer, but you're also a father, and so again, it shows like your values are what's in the best interest of my children. And then I also like that you bring up a value of fairness, even whether you have $1 million or not is not the point. Should you have to pay more money just because? I thought that was great. Asking for the commissioner to step into your shoes, I think, was excellent as well. Michelle, you want to give any feedback?
Hey, you just got me with that. Living to pay bills is not living at all. I'm like, man. It's something to think about. And yeah, definitely asking them to step in your shoes and to see life from your point of view, that, whether you're rich or not, you don't want to give somebody else your money just to be giving it to them. So yeah, it was real good. Both of you all were really good.
Absolutely. And I would say, Stacey and Aaron, if you all want to step up to the mic together, I think that would be powerful, because you do share the same story. Maybe one person taking a piece of it and the other person following up and ending it out is a strategy that you can use. Or, you can introduce yourselves as a couple, and then if Stacey wants to take the mic and speak, that's perfectly fine. Like I said, there's no real structured way of doing this thing. And this is the first time that we've even gotten an opportunity to be a part of a case at the community level. So that's dope. What I would say also, one of the things that I really like about Michelle, when she speaks, she gives her personal story and then she backs it up with facts. Give personal stories, back it up with facts. And so what she does is she cites um, not the entire title of a news article or something that she's seen, but she'll at least source it a little bit, because all you got to do is type DTE in that source and you can see the whole story come up. Another resource I want to give you all is the public's case against DT Energy is a really, really good source. So I'm going to share that with y'all in the chat. And if you need any data, I mean, this talks about, I'll just open it up here. It talks about how they're extracting profits, how they're inducing health harms, and how they're damaging democracy. It's only a few pages. It's only about 20, what is this? 22 pages, but it's heavy.
Yeah, it
With
is.
not only the work that Soulardarity has done, work that MEJC, the Michigan Environmental Justice Coalition, has done, but Little Sis is like a watchdog in terms of tracking the money. And so as you'll see, when you check this out, my camera's kind of crappy, but it even shows like a power map of all of DTE's board members are also board members on other organizations. This is how they galvanize their power against us. They're not just one exclusive institution. They have arms and ties to a lot of other institutions that help to push these policies forward.
Mhm.
And so, just citing some of those sources may help you to fill up some more time. Again, sharing your story and write it down, say it again, say it over and over again. Whoever you invite to the hearing on Monday, practice on them. Ask them, do they feel moved by the story, or give you some feedback. And I know that this is a lot of people's first time being a part of a hearing, but y'all got this. Not only do you just have the lived experience, but we're giving y'all mad sources. And so coming to the training, we can help to, if you're still not feeling super confident about what you want to say, we can help you do some wordsmithing. We also can help just time you so that you're getting everything in. It's really frustrating when you start pouring your heart out and then somebody interrupts you and say, okay, your time's up. So we can help you with timing. We can help you with whatever it is that you need. So I really appreciate y'all. It takes a certain type of person to even share their story. It takes a really strong person to be able to even share their story with other people, especially in public spaces. So
Mhm.
respect y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna pivot it over to Michelle because it looks like we got about 15 more minutes. And I didn't quite understand the homework. I'm gonna explain to Rafael why we didn't get to the MES principles. I hope he forgives me. But if you could just talk a little bit more about the homework and let me know if I need to drop some links in the chat.
Okay. First of all, let me say, really enjoy each of you. You have it in you. It's there. And I'll tell you something that fired me up. My second year with Soulardarity, I got nosy and I went to DTE's website and I pulled up their board executives and I began to see how much money they make. It's there. It's public record. Go to DTE's website, pull up their executives, their board members, and see how much money those guys make. And you get fired up because you're like, that's my money and I want it back. And that really lit a fire in me. I got totally upset. Here I am struggling to pay this bill, and you're sitting back and going on vacations and buying yachts and all kind of stuff, So yeah, go to DDE's website and look it up for yourself. Now the homework. Let me see, where is it? Okay. Rafael didn't send it out, but we're going to talk about the blueprint for energy democracy. And so we're going to send that out to you. What we would like for you to do is read through it. And in your reading through it, if you come up with some questions that you want a little better understanding of, we want you to bring those with you next CRD. The main reason we want you to look at the blueprint for energy democracy is so that you have a clearer understanding of the work that we actually are doing. we have both cohorts here, the Energy Democracy organizers and the Holland Park organizers. But there are so many areas where we will be working together, and Energy Democracy is one of them. So the Blueprint for Energy Democracy is Soulardarity's, Shamika, would I be wrong to say
our Rosetta
Constitution?
Stone. It's like our Rosetta Stone, you know, it's like
Yeah.
it's like what we always can pivot to whenever we're in doubt of what we should be doing next.
Yeah.
And I just want to say more, a little bit more on that, Michelle, is that the way that this guide was created was not just, you know, Michelle, myself, Jackson, you know, Soulardarity staff trying to dictate to the people what's needed based on our organizational experience. It genuinely came from us renting some space over at 90s Knowledge Cafe, having about 6 tables, having a discussion about what were some of the big bucket items we wanted to talk about that would help us to get to democracy, putting a little sign on each of those tables, letting people sit down wherever they want to, feeding everybody and letting them just talk out what is actually needed for us to get to a more energy resilient, a more democratic, and self-sustaining, self-determining community. And so the outcome of that, it took a lot of editing, not gonna lie, but we made sure that we did not misinterpret and that we did not write on our own what we thought should go into this guide. We took the words straight from the people, and we got I got a whole bunch of sticky notes in my house, those really big ones with proof that is actual words from the community. So when you read through it, I think the point is also just, Michelle, if I understand correctly, to identify, you know, as a person in a energy democracy track, you're looking more at things that tie to the state work, you know, things that tie to policy reform, legislators, you know, that sort of thing. And if you're looking at it and you're a part of the Highland Park track, you're looking at it more in terms of how does this link to local government? How does this link to community development and building and things like that? So check it out. We actually have some printed materials that we can give out to everybody. So if you show up to the training and if you show up to the hearing, I'll make sure that I bring those along with me and probably pass them off to Michelle to pass out. But those things are actually in like hard print too. And I'm saying that again because, you know, as a former teacher, I understand that sometimes reading things digitally is not the same thing as holding it in your hand. And so we have, you know, both.
And if you come to the training, make sure you come up and say, hey, Michelle, I'm so-and-so, okay? Some of you I have met face-to-face, some of you I haven't. So just walk up to me and introduce yourself. I don't have a problem with it. And actually, I'm just looking forward to Monday, you know. So your homework right now is read over the Energy Democracy Blueprint, but mainly craft your statement. We want you to be heard. We want the Michigan Public Service Commission to know that you have something to say. So craft your statement over the weekend, bring it with you Monday to the training, you know, and even if you need to email us over the weekend, I know tomorrow for me is really busy, but I will check my emails to see if anybody had any questions.
Yeah, and I'm gonna type my email in the address in the chat too. If you make sure I'm on that email, I can kind of support Michelle and being able to respond back quickly. All right. Before we go, are there any questions? Is anyone excited about Monday? Nervous? How y'all feeling about Monday?
We need whistles and them blower things, you know, that make noise.
Oh no, they're gonna get their first crash course on how we turn up before we go to these types of events. We the people, yes, penny shakers. We'll be over at We the People Michigan's office, but MEJC is going to be there. Defend Black Voters are going to do something right outside of WC3. They're going to be feeding people too. So, you know, again, it's as long as you're like showing up to any of that before you go, even when you walk into the room on Monday, you're going to feel the energy and you're going to see the folks, you know, you're going to be able to looking around the room and tell who's in solidarity with us. And it's going to be really, it's a powerful opportunity and it's a powerful moment. And y'all will do great. I already know it. I actually need to work on my statement, Michelle. So I will be there 4 p.m. to just, you know, practice it a little bit. I've been trying to practice it on the children, and they start making a song, like funny songs about DTE. We're trying to order some solidarity shirts too, you know. So if we could just take like a super quick moment, Michelle, if you can just kind of get everybody's sizes, because that way, if I'm able to get this order rushed, you know, then we'll have solidarity t-shirts for everybody too.
Okay. So Chuck, what size? You know what? Just put your sizes in the, yeah, there you go. Thank you. Okay, I need everybody's sizes. Come on now. Just put it in the chat.
Yeah, I think you got everybody but Kobe's.
All right.
Got Kobe's. All right. I'm gonna stop the recording.